Welcome back to the series you probably don't want to watch at night. And if it's night where you are right now, then I send my prayers. There are cartoon episodes that are supposedly lost and we can never see exactly how they were, but there are stories about them. Keep in mind these are creepypastas and they are fictional, but I still think they're really interesting. And remember, the stuff in this video can be extremely messed up and creepy, especially to the younger kids out there, so stop watching right now if you don't want to be scared. With all that being said, let's get on to the first story. We're beginning with a lost SpongeBob episode called SpongeBob Schizophrenia. It was a tape found in Nickelodeon Studios with the writing SpongeBob Season 10 premiere episode. The episode started out in SpongeBob's house and he looks crazy. He says, "The shadows play with me," and then he laughs manically. SpongeBob takes out a cartoon pistol and kills Gary, but the body isn't shown. Then he hears a yell from Squidward telling him to shut up. SpongeBob looks straight at Squidward and says, "The shadows shall engulf you, mere mortal. Give praise to them or perish." A time card appears saying 25 past midnight. Then on screen, Squidward wakes up only to see a square shadow holding a chainsaw. SpongeBob cuts up Squidward with the saw and the blood splatters on the wall. SpongeBob comes out of Squidward's door and holds his severed head. He runs to get knives from his house, then chooses his next target. Arriving at Patrick's house, SpongeBob immediately stabs him and draws a pentagram on Patrick's floor. Then we see SpongeBob at a table with Squidward's severed head, eyeballs hanging out and brain exposed. Squidward's left eye blinks to reveal that he's somehow still alive, but slowly dying. His head begins to snap and fall apart to only show a pile of organs. SpongeBob kisses these organs, then says to Squidward's organs, "I am your Lord and Savior, Bikini Bottom. Praise me." After saying these final words, SpongeBob takes a knife and stabs himself in the heart. The episode ends immediately after the suicide. There's not a whole lot of information on where to find this lost episode, although there is a possible audio track. It lasts 10 minutes, but there's only a large static sound after 6 minutes of listening. There have been many attempts to find this lost Nickelodeon tape, but nobody has been successful. Next up is a Dragon Tales lost episode. The narrator got a strange VHS in the mail and didn't know where it came from. He was curious about it, so he put it in the VCR. At first there was a brief advertisement for Chuck E. Cheese's, and it was from the 90s, so it was clearly recorded around that time. Then we see a message saying that Dragon Tales is coming up next, and soon after, the intro of the show started. It cut to a picture of Max sitting in a yellow chair with the words Dragon Tales written above him in red. His eyes were bloodshot and tiny, and it almost looked like he needed to cry. Then the actual episode started and we see Max and Emmy in Dragonland. Ord was sitting right behind a rock with a portable radio beside him, and he had no expression on his face. He walked without emotion around Dragonland as the sky was blood red. He gave a slick smile, then a gigantic scream erupted out of nowhere. Immediately the screen cut to a realistic picture of Ord in a bony-like state, lying dead on the ground with his eyes torn out. There's a message carved out on his head with his blood saying, "Hail Satan." Later on in the story, Cassie and Zach are seen in silence. You could only hear the breathing of these characters, but then Cassie opened her mouth in the most ear-piercing, loudest sound the narrator has heard in his life. Cassie said to the viewer, "We must pray to Satan," and the episode faded black. This was only the halfway point, however, as the nightmare continued. An organ track loops and 500 dragons keep chanting, "Cassie, Cassie, Cassie." She jumps into a nearby fire and we see Cassie's flesh burning. She looked at the viewer and said, "You did this to me," and then her skin was burnt to ashes. Many dragons began to scratch at each other and were devouring each other, pouncing on Cassie's remains. A few more deaths happened later on in this lost episode, but they were all seemingly connected to the devil. In the very final moments, a terrifying figure appeared on screen and it looked like Satan. He opened his mouth to let out the ear-piercing sound that was heard earlier, and this went on for a while. The narrator shut off the VCR immediately and put the tape in his garbage can, but it soon disappeared and was never seen again. The final lost cartoon episode I'll be talking about today is an Invader Zim one called Gur's Rage. The episode started out with an intro, but there was no music to go along with it. When the intro ended, the audio came back and we see Gur eating a taco. Zim snatched the taco and shouted at Gur about how smelly human food should never be brought in their base, but Gur ignored him. His eyes turned red and evil music began to play as Gur busted open the front door and walked out without his disguise. He went to Dib's house and Dib kept going on and on about exposing Zim, but Gur came closer to the screen. Gur ignored everything Dib said and tore out his organs, then he put the organs in a taco shell. After killing Dib, he went to Professor Membrane's lab and knocked over a bunch of different machines, causing fire. Gur smashed Professor Membrane and ripped out his liver, stuffing it in the taco shell. He looked upstairs and knew exactly who his next target was. He flew over to Gaz's room, his hand turned into a buzzsaw, and then he began to slash at Gaz. She couldn't get out of her room, and so Gur dissected Gaz, slicing up her heart and putting the pieces in the taco shell. Gur went back to Zim's house, getting hold of a harpoon and shooting Zim, killing him. Gur put Zim's pieces inside the taco shell, which was finally a finished product. The episode ends as we see Gur eating the organ-filled taco with blood and guts everywhere.
Hello, I'm Jason and I guest animated this video. If you want to check out what I do, I make reviews of TV shows and those reviews are animated as well. They're over on my channel Season Reviews, so go subscribe over there and obviously here too. Thanks.
Anyway, that's all for this video. Subscribe for more awesome cartoon videos. Be sure to give a thumbs up and comment below to let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.